Hello and welcome to another episode of Coffee with the Chiropractor. It's your host, Patrick Hogg, and we're going to go all the way to Hexham today, which is 20 minutes away from Newcastle. So I met this next chiropractor through my inner circle, and I have to admit, this episode I've been really excited about because this next guest is an absolute rock star. I have to admit, something that I really admire about this next guest is her ability to just get stuff done. She's one of those people that as soon as someone gives her the right idea, she will implement it straight away. It takes her absolutely no time to just get stuff done. So she's been working in Hexham for the last 12 years, but she actually graduated as a chiropractor in 1993. So she's got plenty of experience and is actually working in a lovely open plan practice up in Hexham. And for those of you that don't understand open plan, essentially we have a multiple tables in the same room so that patients can maybe get a little bit more time on the table, but it keeps a nice flow and a nice energy going in the clinic. She's worked with associates in the past, but she's also a family person. She's got 3 kids that are all 13, 11, and 7, which at the current climate means that she's doing the homeschooling as well. So not only is she managing to balance being a rock star chiropractor, a marketing genius, and being a full-time mum and now homeschool teacher, I'd love to welcome to the show Belinda Ambrose. So welcome to the show.
Oh, well, Patrick, that was an incredible introduction and a very generous introduction at that. So thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely my pleasure. So look, I'm obviously courteous of your time because being a full-time mum and full-time chiropractor, there's obviously going to be a lot juggling on at the moment. So we're going to get straight on with the meat of the content. So maybe you can just tell us a little bit more about why you became a chiropractor, what your story is, and what really kind of gives you that drive to get up in the morning every day.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely, Patrick. Okay, so it's kind of a long story. And I think I really need to start at the beginning. We were very nomadic as a family. My father had the sort of job that took us all over the world. And we went to, many sort of far-flung countries and exotic locations. And wherever my father went, we would follow. So, we grew up in places like Africa and the Middle East and you name it, we kind of lived there. And we had an incredibly exciting lifestyle and we had more adventure, I think, in a few short years than most people would ever dream of having over a lifetime. But the fly in the ointment was this. I suffered with chronic ear and throat infections from quite an early age. And to begin with, I don't think my parents were overly concerned about it, as it seemed to be a regular thing amongst kids, and was considered, fairly normal, I guess. So they did what any other parent of the day did, and possibly still do today. And they would trot me down to the local GP, and they would have a cursory look into my ears and my throat, and then invariably prescribe a course of antibiotics. And this kind of was the trend. And so the next time something like I had another infection, we'd do the same thing. But the trouble with this was that the infections were getting more and more severe. They were becoming more and more frequent, and the medication was having little or no effect. And an outworking of all of this was that I started to suffer with fatigue. And I think at the time people thought I was just lazy, but I just didn't have any energy. And I started to develop a skin condition, eczema, some digestive problems, and generally things were going downhill. And I remember this particularly bad occasion where I had such a severe ear infection. We were living in the Middle East at the time. And I remember going to see this doctor who was absolutely horrified because my ears were basically leaking fluid. And he looked in them and he said, look, do you know what? There's nothing for it. We're going to have to do something straight away. So he went in and started inserting these small barriers. And it was literally the most excruciating thing I think I can remember in my whole life. And I've given birth as well. So, this poor doctor, he was horrified. I was screaming the place down. He was very, very sympathetic, but I could also see he was probably quite anxious. about what his patients might have been thinking in the reception area next door. At any rate, I think this was kind of a defining moment and a turning point. And, you know, there had to be another way. So my parents decided that, you know, they weren't going to buy into this anymore. And we decided to look at alternatives. And so this is where we ended up seeing a chiropractor who took an entirely different view of things. It was very holistic. They asked lots of questions, which, you know, I mean, they were quite nosy. They asked about all sorts of things. They wanted to know about my diet, our lifestyle, whether there was any stress, this, that, and the other, and whether I'd been exposed to any toxins, you know, all sorts of questions, which maybe didn't seem relevant at the time, but we just thought, well, you know, hey ho, we'll run with this. And of course we did. And then, you know, we did a very thorough physical examination as well, very hands-on, which was not something we were used to. And shortly afterwards, he said, you know, there's a problem in the spine that is creating a level of interference to the nervous system. The nervous system basically governs and controls every single function of the body. And shortly afterwards, he suggested a course of chiropractic adjustments and some minor lifestyle and dietary advice. And very shortly afterwards, I started to feel better. Now, whilst my problems hadn't resolved, you know, there was a sense of this is doing something positive in my health. And so we ran with it. And, you know, my health just got better and better. The infections got fewer and fewer. The need for medication became nil. And it completely transformed my well-being altogether. And my family was so encouraged and so inspired by this that we all went under chiropractic care. And that's just how it was. It was good for us, so that's what we were going to do. So we all did that. And then eventually, as an outworking of that experience, I decided that I wanted to be able to do something that would impact people's lives in the same way that it had made the difference to mine. And so that natural progression was to go and study chiropractic. So that's what I did. And when we eventually ended up back in Australia, I went to university there and completed my first undergraduate degree. And at the time, and it was a long time ago, we basically did the same course as the medical students. So we had the same undergraduate degree with a major in anatomy. And then I went on to do a 2-year master's at Macquarie University. So that's kind of what happened. My brother is also a chiropractor as well. So it's definitely a family affair. And, you know, I spent a couple of years in Australia practicing and trying to get as much experience with the best chiropractors, and then traveled over to the UK, where I worked as a locum for a while, and then decided to set up my own practice because I wanted to do my own thing my way. And, you know, we've seen people from all walks of life, from, you know, builders and, you know, tradespeople to elite athletes, superbike champions, Hollywood superstars. I can't name who they are, but everybody else in between. We've seen people of all ages, from newborns to people in their 90s. You know, we've just had everything walk through the door. You know, all types of conditions. And I've always had people come, you know, and they've come in and they've said, oh, do you know, Belinda, I've heard that chiropractic can help with X, Y, and Z. And, you know, that's why I've come to see you. And I've always said to them, do you know what? We've never treated one single thing, not one single thing. And they sort of look at me, and I say, do you know, what we do is just make the body work better so it can deal with the thing. And people have come to me and they've stayed with me for years because they feel so good. So this is my story, you know, and this is why I'm sitting here today. And I'm very enthusiastic and very passionate about chiropractic, because it changes lives. It saves lives. And, you know, I can't imagine where my life would have been if it wasn't for chiropractic. So there you go.
What a story, eh? What a story. It's really interesting, actually, and like you say, by the sounds of things, it wasn't like you went and had your first chiropractic adjustment and all of a sudden all of your infections just disappeared like overnight. It was a progressive thing. It was like it started off as a reduction maybe in the symptoms or the signs of that, And then as time went on, it seemed to reduce down until you got to a level where actually your body pretty much not only eliminated your ear infections, but it sounded like you actually had almost an enhanced level of well-being and physical changes as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And now I have boundless energy. So.
And by the way, in order to work with, like the way that Belinda is currently working now, you would have to have copious amounts of energy. Because like I say, she's an absolute rock star with her patients. And I've seen some of the work that she does. I've seen some of the videos that she's done. I've seen some of some of the really nice things that she's done for her patients. Like at Christmas, she was doing hampers for her clients. They were doing like nice competitions in the clinic. So what they've done is they've really created this really nice energy and this really nice buzz in their practice, and they've made it really patient focused or practice member focused, as opposed to being a really dull and boring and a medical environment. They've made it much more fun, much more energetic, and just a really nice place to go and create that energy and that that health response.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We're very family oriented practice, and yeah, absolutely.
Excellent stuff. So look, Belinda, obviously being a chiropractor, this is one of the main things that many of our patients will want to know is, how do we keep our health so good? How do we keep it so? Maybe you can share some of your experiences, some of your rituals or your routines in order to keep your health so good.
Okay, well, listen, it has to start with chiropractic. When you think about it, your nervous system controls and regulates absolutely every single function of the body. So if you have interference in your nervous system and your brain is unable to communicate with your body on a meaningful level, or at 100%, and your body is not able to communicate back with your brain, then physiologically your body's not going to be working at its optimum. So I think it really has to start with that. Now, my kids have been adjusted since they were born, and that's just something that we do in our household, is regularly adjust the family. Even the dog has been adjusted. Now, obviously, he's my own dog, so of course I can do that, and I certainly wouldn't be doing it for anybody else. But it's important that you start there. And I think as an outworking of that, providing you put those basics into place, then naturally, eating a great diet, it matters what fuel you put into your body. If you're eating junk, you're going to get junk. So, we follow some very, very holistic dietary principles there. I'm a great fan of the ketogenic diet. Because I think it provides a great framework for great health. My daughter's just showing me some wonderful work there. Thanks, darling. And so your diet is really, really important. Exercising regularly. We're great fans of sports. We're all skiing enthusiasts. Every year we're seen thrashing down the mountains at high speed. Even Beatrice. So we love sport, we love activity, staying busy, certainly over this period of lockdown, has been absolutely essential. And, so we really instill those sort of values in the practice, as well as to keep moving, eat well. And, the last thing really is to maintain a very positive mental outlook. Now, you have to have a healthy body in order to root a healthy mind. And I think this is important. So if you've got a healthy body, you're going to think better. You're going to make better decisions. Everything's just going to work better on an emotional level. But there's also work that you can do to create that positive mindset, but it needs to be a conscious application. So there are all sorts of things there that I can advise, in terms of mindfulness and all the rest of it. So, it's just looking at the body in a very holistic way in order to generate and create health and wellness for the long term.
Couldn't be closer to the truth, eh?
Yeah.
And look, it's really inspiring actually. And to be honest, I know that Belinda practices what she preaches, because I'm signed up to Belinda's email list, and the content that she sends out to her patients is it's done in such a beautiful way, because it's based around her life experiences, what she's doing. She'll talk about how she's gone for the bike rides with her kids, or how the kids are going down to the farm and feeding the animals, and they are living this natural lifestyle, but it's portrayed in a story and portrayed in a way that is easy to digest, and people can start to actually take action on that. And again, it's 80% story, but 20% content. And it's that 20% content that really creates that ability for her patients to actually understand what it is that's going on. But then there's also this kind of emotional, and the sense of well-being in this family is something that everybody desires to want to have as well. And I think there's a really beautiful way of actually portraying that. And like she says, it is about the whole lifestyle, the whole factors, the exercise, the diet, and the mental well-being. And like she said, if you do start to affect your physical body, it's going to start to affect your chemical processes, which is going to start to affect your mind and feeling as well.
Absolutely.
So Belinda, maybe you can give our listeners some tips and hints on how that maybe they could take some actions to improve on their health, maybe from today.
Okay, do you know what? This is a really easy one for me, because I think, at the end of the day, I'm a chiropractor. I walk the talk. If you're not having chiropractic care, that's where you need to start. They're the basics. You need to get your nervous system working. You need to get that communication process working in your body. It doesn't matter how old you are. You can be a newborn, you can be, a senior in your 90s, perhaps even older than that. But, it's really important that you start there with chiropractic. Go and see a chiropractor, have that all important first assessment, find out a bit more about chiropractic and what they're going to be able to do to help you. And then all the other processes come out of that. But you really have to start with the basics. Now, as we're coming and we're easing, going through that process of easing lockdown now, a lot of chiropractic practices have opened up. And you know what? They're being flooded with new people, because this has been a period of time that's been incredibly stressful. And I think it's also been a period of time where people have been able to take stock and reflect on their lives and reflect on their level of health, and take this as an opportunity to do something much better for themselves and something much better for their families and much better for their lives going forwards. So this is an absolute starting point. So I'd have to say, you've got to start there. And as an outworking of that, once you can get your body working at a better level, then you're going to be better positioned. You're going to feel more positive because you're feeling better, to be able to make those changes to your diet. And sometimes you'll need a little bit of coaching with that. But if you see a vitalistic chiropractor, they're going to be able to do that. And you're going to be able to get some advice on how to move well and what is going to be appropriate in terms of exercise for you. Because not one size fits all. Everybody's an individual. Everybody has different needs. And you need somebody to help you, to coach you through what is going to be best for you. So you can't necessarily do it on your own. But if you have the help of somebody like a chiropractor who has a holistic view of health, then they will be able to guide you and help you going forwards. So that's the advice that I would give you going forwards from here.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. Because I couldn't agree more. And a lot of the stuff that you're saying, it's interesting, because if you speak to a lot of chiropractors, they'll have their own chiropractor. I personally have a multitude of different people who keep me accountable and coach me through the different areas of my life. So I have a personal trainer, I have a chiropractor, I have a massage therapist. I almost see my partner as almost a little bit of a life coach, because I'm super not organized. And as a result, I need that person in my life as well. And so, I have my clinic manager as well. And the reason why I have my clinic manager is that Otherwise, certain things would not get done. And you need that level of accountability, and you need someone to actually help you sometimes take the steps. Because sometimes we know how to take the steps, but we're just not willing to do it because nobody's there actually pushing it. I just want to take us back to a little point that
Absolutely.
just a little point that I heard you say. You used a word that some people may not understand, and that word was vitalistic. You used the word vitalistic. Maybe you could just explain what vitalistic means.
Okay. Well, vitalistic really means, you know, the optimal expression of life. You know, your body has something called your innate intelligence or your inborn wisdom. For example, your body just knows how to do what it needs to do and when to do it and how to do it. Okay, that's an expression of what we call your innate intelligence or your inborn wisdom. And we all have it. For example, your body knows how to breathe us, beat our heart, make and bake a baby over 9 months, and heal a cut without us having to do anything to facilitate it. So this is what vitalism is about, as opposed to, you know, looking at the body as a sum of its parts, which is a very Newtonian principle. And that's a very medical perspective. You know, if you see a medical doctor about something, you've got a breathing problem, they're going to send you to somebody that specializes in lung function, for example. Or if you have something wrong with your hip, then they're going to send you to an orthopedic person. So it's really looking at the body as the sum of its parts. Well, that's not what we do. As vitalistic chiropractors, we're looking at the whole person and how everything works together in a very interconnected way. So that's really what vitalism is in terms of my interpretation and my belief system goes. That's vitalism for you.
And I'm pretty certain just the very basic dictionary definition is it is the expression of life. It's the expression of life and how we express that. And, you know, really with chiropractic, we're just trying to teach people how to do that in a more natural way. That's really simple. And I mean, if you directly translate what chiropractic means, practic means to do and chiro means hand. So again, it's just really that principle, it's that Latin breakdown of trying to do things naturally and actually teach people how to do things for themselves, or, you know, with the help of just all things natural and all things done by hand.
Absolutely.
So, Belinda, look, obviously you're now, I think I worked out a minute ago, it's about 27 years in practice. And, you know, there are always points in our career where we go, actually, maybe if I could go back and tell myself this, maybe I would change this. Are there any things that you can think of that if you had the opportunity to go back to yourself 27 years ago and say, look, Belinda, I really wish you knew this from the future, because this would really, really help you now?
Oh, okay. So that's an interesting question. So I think what I would say to that, I've just started in the last 2 years. I've got a personal coach, and he coaches a lot of chiropractors as well. It's actually the same coach that Patrick has. And, you know, it's in terms of in personal development, I think it's been an incredible journey. And I have learned and developed so much just in the last 2 years. And I think, crikey, you know, I've been practicing for 27 years and I've only just come on board with something like this in the last 2 years. What could I have achieved if I had done this 27 years ago? So, you know, I think I guess you can translate this into any aspect of your life, whether you're a chiropractor or not, but I think you need to have a coach. You know, whether it's a chiropractic coach or whether it's a coach in personal development or a life coach, or you can get it all wrapped up in one, which is essentially what we have done. I would absolutely recommend doing something like that, and do it now. You know, procrastination is a terrible thing. You know, you can waste an awful lot of time. And I know I've procrastinated over certain things, and, you know, I'm a terrible perfectionist, which holds me back, I think. You know, I always like to wait until something's just right before it gets done. And I think sometimes it doesn't get done because I'm always waiting for that perfect thing and that perfect moment. But I think over the last 2 years, I've learned to accept that actually done is better than perfect. Just doing the thing, whatever the thing is as long as you do it and it's done, it doesn't matter. You know, and I think this has been the benefit of having some personal development like that, and someone to coach me on that level has been absolutely profound. I don't know whether this is making any sense at all. I'm just going off the top of my head, but that's the one thing that I can look back, reflect on, and wish I had done earlier or done differently. I felt like I've wasted a lot of time, but going forwards, you know, I'm certainly going to be making up for that now. And I know Patrick said earlier, and it was very generous of him to say this, but I am a fast implementer. So if I'm given advice and I'm told what to do and how to do something better, I'm just going to do it. Because I wasted so much time, I'm going to make up for it. So that's why I'm a very fast implementation, both in my own life and the principles that I adhere to in life, but also in my practice, how to help my practice members and practice attendees better. You know, I'm just all in, going all out. And I think that really sums it up, Patrick. I hope that helps.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. In fact, you know, Ryan, so Ryan is both of our coach, and he will describe himself not necessarily as just a chiropractic coach, but like Belinda said, there's a lot of personal development and stuff in there as well. So he really actually almost considers himself as an abundance coach, or, you know, an overall life coach as well. And it is, there is that personal development, there is that business development, there is that chiropractic like development as well, and, you know, building value for our clients. And, you know, there's just this whole balance across the board of all the different things that we can actually start to do. And yeah, I'm so glad that I found him at the right point in my career at the beginning, as opposed to waiting a long time, because I can honestly tell you that I wouldn't be,
Absolutely.
yeah, I wouldn't be implementing things like this and actually giving these kinds of things away to our clients if it wasn't for that gentleman. And so, you know, I not only have I seen value come into my life, I feel like I'm actually now expressing more value into other people's lives as a result of being pushed a little bit.
Definitely. Yeah, I absolutely feel that as well. 100%.
So look, Belinda, I'm aware that not all of our listeners potentially are local to us, and maybe some people from around the country are listening to us and they're interested in learning a little bit more about you. Maybe you could tell our listeners a little bit more about, if they wanted to get in contact with you, some ways that they could really easily do that. So either by email or maybe your Facebook page or your website, and then we can add those links to the description below.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you can get hold of me in a variety of ways. I have a YouTube channel, so, you know, you can subscribe to that. I'm on Facebook. I've got a big Facebook presence, so you'd be able to contact me through that. Obviously, calling the practice directly. You can email us. I've got a website, very interactive website. We have a lot of really useful information on there. I've got newsletters. I've got my lockdown blog there. You can subscribe to our newsletter, our coronavirus lockdown and easing lockdown newsletters. So there's a lot of different ways you can get in touch with me. So yeah, absolutely.
Cool. And so what Belinda will do is she'll send all that information over to me, and I'll make sure that all of those different channels, so her YouTube channel, her Facebook channel, her practice website, the phone numbers and stuff, the email, the newsletters, all of that content, we'll try and put the links in the descriptions below. So if you want to learn a little bit more about Belinda, or you want to kind of see how her newsletters and her blogs and stuff are all worked out, and just, you know, learn a little bit more about her family and the way that she runs her life, then we'll add those into the description so you can learn a little bit more. So Belinda, we are coming to the end of the episode, but what I wanted to ask you is one of my favorite questions, and I call this the wow moment. And the reason why I call this the wow moment is it's the parting words of wisdom. So the acronym WOW, words of wisdom. Maybe you could just give us like a quote or a mantra or like a routine, something that you think that will really add some value to the end of this show.
Yeah, look, absolutely. And I think one of the things that I think our coach always instills in us is this, you know, if it's important to do, it must be done, whatever the thing is. And I have this in my head and I say it every single day of my life. It's one of the things that I wake up and I think about when I'm starting my day. What's important today, what must get done today, and it must be done. And, you know, this goes with anything. If you have something in your health that needs to change and you know it needs to change, then do something about it. If there's something in your relationship that you need to address, then you need to do something about it now. If there's a communication with your children that you need to work on, then you need to do it now. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a business thing, whether it's a personal thing, whatever it is, if it's important to do, then it has to get done. You can't procrastinate because tomorrow never comes. Tomorrow might arrive and then it's, well, I'll put it off until tomorrow. So that is my parting words to you. Don't waste your life. Just do the thing that needs to get done. That's it.
It's really interesting. I love that quote from Ryan. I absolutely love it. And actually, sometimes he goes even a step further. He'll say, if it's important to get done, you have to get it done. But he'll even go as far as saying, look, if it's that important to get done, it doesn't matter whether it's you or someone else that gets it done. So say, for example, if it's important that something gets done in your life and it's not something that necessarily you have to do, it might be the fact that you need to clear your space up in your house. But it's important that it gets done, or you get someone else to come in and do it for you. If it's going to create the time so that you can, if you can do those other things in your life that are really, really important to you, because time is something that we all have the same of, by the way. We've all got the same 24 hours in the day. So the really big difference between those people that get a lot of stuff done, and by the way, those people that appear like they get loads done, the likelihood is it's because they've got a team of people helping them.
Yeah. You have to prioritize without a shadow of a doubt, and you have to find your highest priority, what's important to you, what your mission is, and then you delegate to get the job done. Because you can be busy, but it can be unproductive busyness. So you have to decide what's the most important thing that you need to get done, and then delegate the rest, and then it's done.
Amazing. Look, Belinda, you've been such a rock star. I've been so blessed to have you on the show today. I've really enjoyed the content. And I literally within about 30 seconds of listening to you, I already knew what the title of the video was going to be for today. So it's been such a great time, And I'm going to let you get back onto homeschooling the kids now and getting on with down and dirty for the practice today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, you know, thanks so much for having me on your show, Patrick. You are a rock star, and it's just lovely to, you know, to have communion with you today, and just, you know, it's been super, really good.
Brilliant. Guys, for those of you listening, we're going to add all of Belinda's descriptions in all of her contacts into the description. So if you want to learn a little bit more about Belinda, that's going to be in there. This will be available on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, and many other listening platforms. So that's all we've got time for today with Belinda. It's another episode of Coffee with a Chiropractor with your host, Patrick Hogg. Until next time, we'll speak to you soon.